right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. The State of the Nation discussion starts right now, where we talk about matters, politics, and everything in between. They will try and touch on a few issues. Treasury is cutting spending, bribes is a nation of bribes based on the EACC report, and the doctor's strike. Who should blink first? My guests are with me in studio. Honorable Robert Mbui is here, Member of Parliament for Katiani. Asante sana for making time. Honorable Geoffrey Ruku is here, Member of Parliament for Mbeere North. Thank you very much for making time. Faith Odhiambo, LSK President, is here. Asante sana for making time. And Honorable Anthony Kibagendi, Member of Parliament Kitutu Chache South. Thank you very much for making time. Honorable Mbui, I'll start with you before we get into the dailies and what's going on there. How would you describe the state of the nation this morning?
Yeah, thank you, Trevor. Trevor, I think we Kenyans are disillusioned. Since the last election, I think the country is not going in the right direction. Remember, this regime that is in power came into power on promises that were extremely rosy. I mean, they had painted a very, very good picture of the nation after they acquire power. But, I mean, what has happened is a total opposite. They talked about, raising those mamambogas, boda-bodas, and those are the most, hurt people right now. They talked about putting money in people's pockets. I mean, that was even their slogan. Apparently, what has happened is that they have perfected the art of taking money out of people's pockets in taxation and, and very, very punitive taxation. Everything in the country, in my opinion, is going south. The economy is in tatters. Cost of living is skyrocketed. We thank God for the rains. At least cost of food is coming down. But every other, every other item we require, like electricity, transport, all those are still very high. Our education sector, Trevor, is in trouble because we have this new system that was, mooted years ago. And unfortunately, this system seems to have completely baffled this regime in power. Our children in junior secondary are, primary age children walking for kilometers to go to other schools because the program that was there for them to continue studying where they were is not possible. Because the minister last year, he told the nation that every child will continue learning where they are in primary. Now they've realized that there are not enough teachers, so the children have to go to the few designated junior secondary schools. Our security is also in shambles. You saw the proposal by the president when they signed an agreement with some character who came from Haiti, and they said that that they would take police officers to Haiti, something which we opposed in Parliament. But they ignored us. And sure enough, unfortunately, this Prime Minister himself could not even land in his country. And we were wondering, so how are the police going to be taken there? Our health sector, doctors are out on strike. This country is in trouble. I mean, I think Kenyans, whoever voted for this regime, they are the ones who have put us in this problem. But I thank God because some were singing that they wake up very early to hire the team of Kenya Kwanza. Now they are saying they are changing the tune. They wake up very early to fire this team of Kenya Kwanza.
Okay. Honorable Ruku, how do you describe the state of the nation this morning?
We are witnessing a very gradual transformation of this country, where all the programs which have been put in place by Kenya Kwanza government, led by President Ruto, are coming to fruition. We have seen prices of commodities coming down. For instance, unga. From the time Kenya Kwanza came to power, the prices were 260 per packet of unga. At the moment, we have seen is about 130, 115 Kenya shilling. We have seen prices of fuel coming down. We have seen Kenya shilling gaining in a very serious manner against dollar. We have seen a number of good things happening. We passed Affordable Housing Act in Parliament, where my brother Mbui contributed and supported that program. They do support some of these programs in Parliament, but when they come out here, they are crybabies. They speak to the gallery, so that they may seem that opposing is very easy. But in Parliament, he was one of those guys who were supporting some of these programs. And I remember we were counting the votes with my brother Mheshimiwa Kibagendi. So we are seeing gradual transformation of this country because of programs and policies which the president has put in place.
Yeah.
And by the third year of this administration, we'll be able to see a government which is not boring.
Okay.
We'll be able to see we are able to raise our own local revenue to do developmental programs, as well as to do the recurrent expenditure from our own sources. I think the programs and the policies which have been put in place are the ones which are transforming this country slowly, but in a sure manner.
All right, Faith?
I'd want to start under the auspices of the rule of law. I would say that what we are seeing, the trajectory is that we have an executive that is more and more pushing towards an authoritarianism or authoritarianism with regards to refusal to obey court orders. And we saw that stemming particularly from last year, moving this year. And we have seen also county governments, like the county government of Nakuru, joining suit in the case of the War Memorial Hospital, that they have refused to comply with court orders. We have seen also members of parliament and senators connected to the ruling party also joining suit, saying that court orders are just merely papers. Then we see an affront even with regards to parliament. I say this is the saddest institution, because we have a parliament that has become a choir rather than upholding the rule of law and taking seriously their responsibility. I don't believe that it's just a matter of you being in the ruling party, that you make decisions to help your party. We're seeing JLAC allowing unlimited number of CSs at the backdrop of not failing even to look at what was the court decision, looking at the reality of the financial burden in this nation and in this country, but seeking to please the head of state. And so these are questionable things that we have to also ask ourselves, even as parliament. What is their role and their function? Are they adjoined to the executive, or are they an independent arm? Then let us go to other services. I say it's taxation without services. We're seeing people struggling to get IDs or passports, yet if you look at the amount charged for a passport, how much is collected in a day? Why can't we get our passports? Is it that that money is being cleared and forwarded somewhere, that we cannot get your normal passport? You're being forced that you have to get the most expensive, meaning services are for an elite few and not for everyone. IDs was increased to 2,000, and now it's the hardest time to even get your national ID. We're seeing lands, their proposal to increase the costs at the lands office. The question is, for what? You're increasing the cost, but there's no services attached to it. The lethargy that is there, the cartelism that is there, we're seeing people, this as a system is being used to steal, so to say, people's lands and their titles being taken away. And I would say it's also take all without giving back. We're seeing how the CS of health has been speaking to the gallery, and I would say she speaks with her chest without looking at also what are the requirements under law, what did they sign, what promises did they make to the doctors. Doctors are in strike, and people are forgetting, as the two, let's say, lions or rhinos are trampling against each other. If you go to the public hospitals, just look at the number of people are dying.
Yeah.
Who are hoping and praying that this can come to an end, that they can actually get services. They need doctors. We need doctors as a nation. And it's time that people get out from their high horses and think about the mwananchi. Okay. I would say, let me finish with also the security sector. Yeah. We see the CS more interested in TikTok, talking about why people should not engage in the same, instead of looking at the more crucial things, the crime rate that is increasing, the Haiti case, and why are they taking our police officers there? How can they ensure their safety? And if something happens to them, what is their reassurance to their families? So I would say there's a lot of there are priorities that are misplaced, and I think the nation generally is lethargic towards what is the future of this country. Okay.
Kibagendi?
First, we have to agree that Kenya is a constant work in progress. And while at it, we need to realize that we are behind in our bills and our promises to the people of this nation. We have an executive that is so focused on being busy rather than being productive. We see them running around the country,
trying to sell hope that is no longer being bought by the same people that catapulted, that pushed them to power. Kenyans are indeed an extremely resilient people, but it is coming to a point where they will no longer take it because they are grossly overworked and and severely underpaid, and this is making this is the making of the office of the president himself because of the overtaxation of our citizens. And the president is getting fascinated by cheap, insincere flattery from his legion of members of parliament, including my friend here, who are fearful. They don't tell him the truth. But once we leave this desk, in the corridors here, he'll be telling us how, indeed, maisha imekuwa ngumu. He'll be telling us how ground imekuwa ngumu. He's unable to articulate the issues they confidently try to sell on this particular desk. We have a problem in this country, and we need to realize that. The president needs to come down to reality. Like Madam President has said, we need the executive, especially the CS for Health, to tone down on her rhetoric and sit with the leadership of those in the medical fraternity and be able to come up with a solution. The president and his legion of fearful MPs also need to realize that Kenyans are indeed suffering. And while he thinks everything is planned out, things can turn out very bad in the next few months because while international oil prices are going down, that is not the making of the Kenya Kwanza administration. And while the shilling is strengthening against the dollar, that has not brought down the cost of living. We need to deal with the heavy taxation. We need to deal with the cost of food. We need to think about the future. Right now, the cost of food has gone down because of the rains. They've gone ahead to start selling us fake fertilizer. And I said this here last year, and we were with this gentleman, that they got some free fertilizer from Russia. They went on to adulterate it with sand and soil to make it. It was about 55 million metric tons, and they pushed it to 100. So that, and they went on to sell it to Kenyans. Now they are telling us it is their making that we have the cost of unga come down. Okay, but why have you gone ahead to sell this time round fake? It is not even fake. That is not, imagine they are selling sand and feces from donkeys, and I wonder how a whole government can gather courage and create time to gather feces for donkeys from across the country in tons and then start selling it to Kenyans. It is unfortunate. Okay. We are in a very difficult situation, and it is time people speak up.
Okay.
We need to stop being fearful. Ruku, you need to stop being fearful, and you need to stop lying to Kenyans.
Ruku, are you too fearful to tell the president the truth? Because even on the front page of the Standard, which you have right there, hustlers are protesting. Nairobi traders are unhappy with Ruto's high taxes, and you're saying things are getting better. But they are telling you they're not getting better. Are you too fearful to tell the president the truth?
Trevor, we are not fearful to tell the president the truth. We always tell the president the truth. We always
do they even get a chance to speak?
We always meet, even for retreat, several days, and we come up with the strategies on how we are going to run this country together.
Do you agree that things are bad?
Listen,
as you
Trevor,
tell each other the truth. Listen,
Trevor. The way things are at the moment comparing to when we came into power in the year 2022, August, September, is completely different. When I hear my brother Kibagedi talking about fertilizer, I want to mention that for any, in management, we talk about 4 Ps, where the first one is about program, the second one is about plan, the third one is policy, and the fourth one is project. For project implementation, we must be able to get some things right. And one of the things which we have to get right is coming up with a proper strategic plan, then going to policy, then implementation of the project. This fertilizer program, you can imagine the work which has been done to ensure from the source of the fertilizer, where government is getting fertilizer from, all the way to ICs, all the way to Nairobi, all the way to all distribution centers across the nation. I want my brother to tell me, in one of the depots in the Republic of Kenya where we have fake fertilizer, what has happened is crooks, criminals within the market who have been selling fertilizers at a very high prices, who have milked this country for many years, they want to kill this program so that they can go back to business by getting sand or whatever it is, packaging it as a fertilizer and calling you media to come and highlight that this is exactly what is happening to the farmers across the nation.
You don't think there's fake fertilizer in circulation?
There is no fake fertilizer in depots.
But the government itself
in the market,
NPK 10-2610.
In the market,
yeah,
you can be able to go and get this fake fertilizer. But I want you, Trevor, to take me to one of the National Cereal and Produce Board depot across the nation where we can go and get fake fertilizer.
So why is the government recalling the NPK 10-2610 if there's no fake fertilizer?
Because packaging it in River Road, packaging it across street, I don't know, in all manner of streets across the nation, it is possible, and to get it in our local market, it is possible.
Without the government knowing about this. So the government is not aware.
What I'm asking, Trevor, is let Kipangen take me to one of National Cereal and Produce Board depot where we go and find fake fertilizer. There is no fake fertilizers in the government distribution channel. But you'll be able to get this fake fertilizer which has been taken into the market by crooks, by criminals who need to be prosecuted, who need to be found, and full force of law applying to them. Because they cannot be around to fail a program which has taken years to remember.
This is irresponsible.
Fertilizer subsidy came in place in 2009. That is when, 2009. That's when the government started coming up, developing these subsidy program. In 2022, the e-voucher, it was implemented by the then government. Uru's government. In Ruto's government is when we said from 5,000 to 2,500. And at the moment, I have a motion further in Parliament where I'm proposing further reduction of prices of fertilizer, because it is possible for fertilizers to be less than 2,500 for us to be food secure.
All right, fine. We allow for a while, but
you should not allow this to go unchecked. It is irresponsible for a member of parliament probably you don't understand English, because the government said they have stopped the distribution of the fertilizer that they had unleashed to Kenyans. They did not say stop selling in those River Road shops. The distribution was being done in NCPB go-downs. So what is the member of parliament here telling us?
Let me hear what Robert Bui has to say. Does Ruku have a point? Okay, fine. Does Ruku have a point when he says that this fake fertilizer is being distributed by people who should be prosecuted and not necessarily having the backstop with the government?
You know, Trevor, Ruku is a very good student of the Kenya Kwanza script, and which is obviously prone to lies. And I will just point out one obvious lie that every Kenyan who's watching this show knows. He just said here that I supported the housing bill. I opposed the housing bill. I was the first member from our side to speak on the housing bill. I opposed it. Not only did I oppose it, Trevor, we also went to the point of forcing a division so that our voices could be heard and our vote could be counted. And you have the record of those of us who voted against it. But he's just saying that, these people come and speak on the show and then on the house they support. So that's a lie. And I think Ruku needs salvation. There was that man called Saul on the way from Tarsus to Damascus. He saw the light and he became Paul. I think Ruku needs salvation. You need to be able to stand up for your own and stop lying to Kenyans, because what Kibagendi has said is true. And the problem is, Trevor, and I think Faith has said it, LSK president, that We have people that are elected with a responsibility of defending the public, because that's one of the purposes of the National Assembly. But they believe that the executive is always right. So anything they are told, Ruku won't even read the bills. I can tell you, Trevor, we passed a finance bill last year. We opposed it. We were on these shows saying there's something wrong with this finance bill. And these people were there shouting and saying, put the question so that we can pass it. They passed it in his own backyard. Members of parliament have come to realize that what they passed is actually poison. And now they're going to the public and telling them, this thing, none other than the deputy president himself said that there were mistakes in the finance bill. They don't listen to us, they only listen to the president. I think there is a tragedy. Madam President, you are right. This parliament is a mess. We hope that we could get a few more people in the future that will listen to the public as opposed to listening to the executive, because all of us have one responsibility: to oversight the national executive.
Okay. And, Ruku, let me bring you back before I bring in Faith on this. I'd like you to explain what you mean by this fertilizer is not necessarily from government, whereas here, the Agriculture Principal Secretary Kiprono Rono, in a letter to the National Cereals and Produce Board yesterday, ordered the state agency to stop the distribution of the fertilizer to the farmers with immediate effect.
Yes.
So why was he ordering NCPB if it was not being distributed there?
Because the criminals gangs have infiltrated the distribution channels of the government with the fake product. That's not even fertilizer. With the fake product.
So this is
so
government.
How do you kill that?
Happening at NCPB.
You can only kill that by, first of all, ensuring that there will be no mix-up of the true and good fertilizer from the government with the fake fertilizer which is coming from the criminals. Want this program failed.
Then why don't you stop where they're being distributed from the criminals? They stopped NCPB. There's a difference. If Shop A is distributing bad fertilizer, then why don't you say stop Shop A? He stopped NCPB.
Yes, because you don't need to mix the two. Fertilizer.
So you stop the good one, so that the bad one goes.
My brother Trevor, let me explain. Fertilizer is a serious business, worth billions of money. Many businessmen have been cut off of this business. It's a business which has been done for years. They have to come back fighting. How do they come back fighting? They go in Gilgil, put sand in sacks, brand them as fertilizer, and put it within the distribution channel.
So you're saying the NCPB has no way of verifying the fertilizer is fake because KEBS has no idea what to do. They're given fake fertilizer, they put into NCPB depots and it's distributed. Is that what you're saying?
This fake fertilizer, you saw it is coming somewhere in Gilgil where he's putting sand, transported to Nairobi for it to be able to get into the distribution channels of the government. So it is the
government
right
distribution channels.
It is the right thing PS did to first of all ensure there is no infiltration of the fake fertilizer into the government distribution channels. And that's why I'm saying, take me to one of the depots of National Cereal and Produce Board across the nation where we have fake fertilizer. The PS has ensured there's no depot which is going to have fake fertilizer before it reaches there. Because
then why would it stop the NCPB if they don't have fake fertilizer?
He's stopping so that the criminals may not get the fake fertilizer into the depot.
The distribution.
Okay. Let me hear what Faith has to say on this, because Faith, I know you look at this from a neutral perspective.
But also,
the MPs may not be seeing this like all other Kenyans. What do you see, Faith?
Like any other Kenyan, I think government cannot have its cake and eat it at the same time. So if government in itself is saying that they are stopping the distribution because they have realized there's a problem, you cannot come again and say that it's not government, it's the cartels that are trying to fight us and have realized that this program is working. And the second question, if you're saying that it's a big business, are you giving it for free? You see, if you're also selling it, then you're also joining in the same market, and you should be subjected to the same market requirements, and you should be held accountable as well. Because if you have distributed any of this fertilizer to the farmers, then you also have to account to the people of Kenya, because if you've used government public funds to get this fertilizer out and it's found, there is no way that you can now come back. It cannot be gainsaid now that this amount of fertilizer someone else intercepted. The buck has to stop somewhere. So if this fertilizer was being distributed by government, they must take responsibility. I think we must stop as a nation to blame each other or try to find excuses for what we do. I think there needs to be a point that the CS and the PS say, this is wrong, we are making amends, and we'll ensure that we replace whatever fertilizer to the different farmers that have since received the wrong fertilizer. Own up to your mistakes, take responsibility, and chart the next way forward. It does not help this back and forth, because the reality is you have a responsibility to the people of Kenya, and those are public coffers that you can also be held accountable. This is just stage one. They're forgetting that there are different actors in this industry who will still come after them. It's not a matter of throwing back and forth, it's who. And once the government has made that statement, you cannot come back and tell us that you come and show me, take me to any government depot. That is your responsibility. You cannot throw it back again to the people of Kenya to tell them, you come and show me which depot. People have raised hue and cry, you've made a decision, stopped that distribution, investigate, hold whoever is internally responsible, hold them to account, because we see this game blame and then no one is held accountable. So meaning it comes from the very top. Whatever rot is in this process comes from the very top, because when we don't see action being taken, they're saying we'll take time to investigate. So unless somebody comes to sue the government on the same, we shall not see anyone being held accountable. So I think let's be...
Are you contemplating suing the government on this?
I've not said that I'm contemplating suing, but we will make a decision as the Law Society. Okay. But the reality is we must take responsibility. It's high time that we accept when mistakes have been done, take responsibility, replace fertilizer that have since been distributed to those various farmers that have been affected, and find the best way forward.
Okay, Kibagendi, very briefly on this. I have to take a quick break.
When my brother Ruku speaks in English, I thought he understands that language. There is a difference between government stopping distribution of the fertilizer, and this letter was written to NCPB, and when government calls businessmen to stop selling that specific brand of fertilizer. There is a big difference, and it is high time we begin taking responsibility. And what we have seen from the Ministry of Agriculture is the way to go, rather than coming here to try and defend what cannot be defended. What the Ministry of Agriculture has done is they have listened to the people, they've stopped the distribution, and they shouldn't take too long to investigate. When they want to deal with opposition leaders, the investigations take very fast, a short time. But now, because it is, like Madam President has said, it comes from the very top, they'll take forever and take us round in circles before they can come up with the actual people that actually did this. And we need to make a detailed and exhaustive study of how this actually happened and who should take responsibility, so that we see heads rolling.
Okay, I'll take a quick break here. When you come back, there's still quite a number of things we need to talk about. Treasury cutting budgets, and there's newspapers that are awash with a nation of bribes, civil servants who oil graft monsters. We'll talk about that in just a bit. Stay with State of the Nation.